Okay.
Yes. Nope, not that one. It's there.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'm Denise Savageau. I'm the vice chair of the zoning commission. And to my left is Mike Pogliano, also a member of the zoning commission. And we also have Mary Jo Nozel on via Zoom. In terms of our regular members, I want to say congratulations for the appointments of our new alternate members, Michael Barnes and Mary Gardner. They're coming back as alternate members. And the newest member is Jim Quattro. Jim, would you like to just quickly introduce yourself?
My name is Jim Accordo. I've lived here for 9 years, and I'm excited to contribute.
Thank you. And we're going to seat for this meeting because we have some absentees. We'll seat Michael Barnes and Mary Gardner. So our agenda starts with public comment period, and I just wanted to start off with making sure people understand what the public comment period is versus the public hearing. Public comment is if you wanted to comment on something about the agenda or something to the zoning commission, but understand that if you have something to say about one of the items in the public hearing, you should do that during the public hearing process so that you will then be on the record as part of the public hearing. If you comment during the public comment period, yes, we've got your comments, but it won't be part of the official public hearing record that we can consider. We just want to make that clear that the comment period is kind of like if somebody has something they just need to address with the commission. I also just wanted to make sure that people understood that we are have a public hearing. One of our agenda items is the phase 1 changes to our zoning regulations. We are going to be getting into phase 2, which is really looking at the substantial part of our and looking at potential changes to the zoning regs. Phase 1 was kind of to clean it up, reorder some of the things, make it more technically sound. So there wasn't changes to substantially to the zoning regs. We will be starting that phase 2 process, and we'll be inviting all the commissions as well as having public input sessions from the public. And we'll be starting that this spring. So I just wanted to make sure people understood that so that when they come up during the public hearing on the phase 1 regs, we will keep the, comments to what's in the, any changes to the phase 1 regs. We're not going to be taking comment about like, oh, I'd love to see this change. That will be for later on in what the commission's working on. So with that said, I'm going to ask if there's anybody here who wants to comment in the public comments section. Yes. And if you could state your name and address.
Sally Whitewitz, and it's 310 Swan Avenue Extension. Okay, I was reading through the rewrite and I just need some clarification on Airbnb or short-term rentals, because it's a C10 zone and it looks like that's prohibited. I'm not sure if I'm correct on that.
No, we don't regulate Airbnb at all. It's just not part of the regulations.
Well, it says tourist home.
Okay. Tourist home is a very specific category, and that's just designed for the SVVD district. And that's because historically that's been the town's location for essentially seasonal use for that sort of thing. Because the town has a history of being a seasonal rental community, we do not attempt to regulate Airbnb. We don't have the staff to do it, and traditionally the zoning regulations have not been able to address that. So it may be something we take up in phase 2. At the moment, it is not discussed in phase 1.
Okay, so a year-round home can be just like a hotel, nightly rentals.
We don't regulate it.
Regulate it at all.
We do not touch that. Okay.
How would that be? Like, when would that be done? Like in a rewrite or?
In phase 2, we can take it up as something that the commission can look at that time, but it is not addressed presently. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have comments just generally for the commission or questions? Okay, Here, seeing no further comments, we'll go into the public hearing. And we're gonna start the public hearing. It's actually a continuation of the hearing on our phase one regulations, case 25-11. We already read the information into the record. We probably don't need to do that again since this is a continuation of the public hearing. And I guess is there anything else we need to do on that, Eric?
No, I'm looking over the submittals, and at this point, I don't think there are any new submittals since your last meeting here.
Did planning ever say anything? Or?
Okay, planning came back with a favorable report on this. So they are saying that this meets the requirements of the town plan of conservation and development. I thought there would be something in here from them. I don't see that, but I can report back since I was at that meeting that they did make a positive referral for you. I do have from February 3rd, the review from the Historic District Commission. It just basically says, urges the zoning commission to emphasize the importance of protecting historic structures. And again, this is largely phase 2 comments. They're talking about recognition of HTC authority, illumination. All of these are things that you're going to take up essentially at your next phase, but they've submitted them now, so they're in the record here. I do have a January 28th letter from Suzanne Thompson from the Gateway Commission indicating that the CRGC reviewed the application at its January 22nd meeting. The proposed zoning regulations changes do not amend gateway standards. The amendment is not adverse to the protection and development of the gateway conservation zone or to the standards set forth in CGS section 25-102D. CRGC does not oppose the proposed changes, and this letter can be taken as the approval of phase 1 zoning regulation changes if adopted as presented by the zoning commission. So I think those are the only new additions I've got since the last meeting.
Well, I have some old business on that one. So back around Thanksgiving, there was an email exchange where you had solicited comments for the version at that time that resulted in the what I believe is the December 3rd rev that was referred out, and that's been the basis for our discussion since then. So back then, if I recall correctly, Jane had submitted some proposed changes. I definitely did. And the email mentions that Denise was planning to or might be sending some in. So now, speaking from what I know to be true, I had sent in proposed revisions to the professional office and business services establishment definitions as an attempt to more cleanly separate public-facing retail business offices from more business to business, and map those into the commercial and light industrial zones. So, and I put that forward as a draft proposal, but it was never discussed with the whole commission. And I think we need to, before we accept that, we need to work that through and accept it.
Well, that's what we're here at the public hearing to do. So if you'd like to sort of raise that and discuss that tonight, this would be the appropriate time to do that.
Consider it raised then. And I never saw, so at that point, you were going to collate whatever came in it and then send it back out when we met as a commission. And I didn't see anything that Jane had suggested during that cycle.
I don't know that I have, Jane's comments were, I guess, were largely directed at some of the definition stuff. And I think that got addressed. I think Jane's comments had already previously been addressed. I don't know that I have new comments from Jane's post that email. I think she was going to save the rest of her thoughts for phase 2. So I don't know that there's new language from Jane that we need to incorporate. And obviously Jane isn't here, and Denise says she's going to leave the hearing open. So we can certainly ask Jane next time if there's anything additional she'd like added.
And I think the same thing with myself. I don't think I ended up submitting something I was going to, but it got resolved. So I don't think I needed to do that.
Okay.
If that's the case, if we're going to leave it open, we might want to leave the discussion of those 2 other definitions open until Jane is here too.
Because to your point, there is some, I guess I want to clarify what you were trying to clarify on the regulation, on the definition, specifically because there is office buildings in the industrial zone presently.
Yeah, and basically what I was looking at was trying to as cleanly as possible, separate the public facing businesses from the either back office or business to business type,
Mhm.
so that we wouldn't have, say, a pediatrician's office in light industrial. And the way I read
But there
the,
might already be.
Oh, yes, that even if there is already.
Yep.
They become pre-existing non-conforming.
I understand that.
We won't prohibit anyone from being there now. I know for a fact that we have someone offering tutoring in the light industrial zone.
Yeah.
And I know he's not supposed to be there, and I've told him, because he came in looking for a certificate of zoning compliance saying it was okay for him to be there. And I said, look, I'm not going to chase you out because you signed a lease and, I understand that you did it on, good faith. But if you're looking for me to say you're supposed to be there, I really can't give you a letter that says that either. So there's going to be situations where someone may be someplace that they're potentially not supposed to be, but we need to clarify our regs whether we want going forward new uses of that sort in that zone. That's really the idea there, particularly in light of what we've seen with your self-storage regs and your gas station, where we have advice from the attorney that, look, special permits are not being sort of respected by the courts at this point in time. So if you don't want to use in a zone, you need to just blow it out entirely so that you don't even face the possibility that you're going to have a special permit that you deny that the court's going to then overturn. Okay.
So just for clarity, the changes that Michael is talking about are in the draft regs, so everyone has had opportunity to read them. It was just one of the things that Michael wanted to make sure that the commission recognized that we had done a whole lot of work, but that those were last minute comments that got put in, and we wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. That said, if what went out to the public it's out, they're in there.
it's out there. Yep.
So,
As it was proposed,
As it was
but
yeah.
I considered it a draft at the time and it went out.
Well, it could still be that because it could still make changes. That's, yeah.
Okay.
so,
And then one other minor thing while I'm in my notes, we still have a tea room out there as a hanging chat as a defined but prohibited use.
I think that's probably going to be a phase 2 at this point, because you guys agreed you didn't want to change uses or change things, but in
Yeah.
phase 1. So I understand that it's a kind of a silly thing that you probably are going to include in phase 2.
It's undefined. That's what we talked about.
It was undefined. Yeah,
So we define it or
I think we
Or take it
decided,
out.
yeah, well, I think we
All right.
decided that we'll just leave it and deal with it in
okay.
phase 2.
I
I
thought
mean, honestly, I've had several conversations with Francisco Gomes where he's asked, you really want to do this? And I'm like, it's there. He's like, I haven't found a good definition for it. So he's looked, he's like, I don't know what to tell you. It's a tea room. But no, I mean, he's basically like, if you're going to leave it in, just leave it in and we'll deal with it later. But I'm not going to come up with a definition for it because there's no standard understood definition for tea room at this point in time.
Okay.
So, okay.
guess there must have at some point have been some notion what it is if it was prohibited.
Well, but, yeah, I mean, even Jane though,
Even Jane.
well, but she goes back, 35 years on this stuff. So
42 years.
So if even Jane can't tell you why it's prohibited, then the likelihood you're going to find some rationale behind it is fairly low. So
Anything else, Michael?
No.
Anyone else that have anything
Not right now.
yeah, so we are gonna leave
No,
the public
thank you,
hearing.
Michael.
That said, we want to ask, oh, wait, Mary Jo?
No, I
Mary
wanted to
Jo.
thank Michael. Yeah, I just wanted to second Michael's comments because I had those notes as sort of hanging chads as he's described it. And I appreciate the discussion, and it should be easily fixed in phase 2.
Thanks, Mary Jo, and I'll have to remember you're up there.
That's
Make sure I include you.
I'll
So I'm gonna turn it over now to see if there's any comments from the public on the phase 1 changes to the regs.
I'm Russ Todd, 105 Lime Street, Historic District Commission. Just wanted to note that we applaud and thank you for the work, and we now understand that this is the phase 1 process. So our memo was more general. So phase 1, phase 2, there may be a few points in there that are more definition that might be appropriate for your phase 1 consideration. And then we look forward to discussing with you on the phase 2, some of the other larger points. But again, just wanted to say thank you and that we've submitted and Eric had noted what we submitted. So
Okay, and we'll make sure they get into our phase 2 folder also.
exactly. Great. Thank you so much.
All right,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Any other comments on the phase 1? Okay, hearing none. I guess do we want a motion at this point to continue the public hearing, or should I
It's prob-
or should do I just continue it?
I would take a motion at this point, just to,
I'll motion to continue.
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Any extensions? Abstentions, not extensions? All right, thanks. So we'll continue the public hearing on those. Our next public hearing is on case 25-10. That's the coastal site plan application for 80-1 Lime Street. My understanding is that they have agreed to move this to our March 9th agenda. So
Yeah.
we will do that. That said, if there's someone from the public who understood this was on our agenda and wants to speak to it, you can speak to it because this is part of the public hearing, but we will continue that public hearing to March 9th if you want to be here and also hear what the applicant is going to propose to us. Anyone for the 80-1 Lime Street application? Okay, here one, none, I'll take, do we need a motion to do that as well?
yes, and
Yeah.
just indicate, I will be getting a written consent from them because they would be beyond their 35 days, the period that they're allowed to have the public hearing open for. But yes, I would get a motion just to table that to the next meeting.
Okay, so I'll take a motion to table that till the next meeting.
So moved.
Thanks, Mary Jo. Second,
I lost it.
You need a second.
I'll second.
Well, either way.
Yeah.
any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Passes. Okay, so our next public hearing is case 26-1 on 29 Smith Neck Road, special permit application.
On this one, because it is a new public hearing, I do need to read the legal notice. I'm going to read the legal notice for both public hearings at this time, so we won't need to read it again later. And then I will go through the exhibits that we have. Legal notice for a public hearing, zoning commission, town of Old Lyme. Zoning commission of the town of Old Lyme will hold a public hearing at its regular meeting on Monday, February 9th, 2026 at 6:30 p.m. at Memorial Town Hall in the meeting hall, 52 Lime Street, Old Lyme, Connecticut, to consider and hear comments on the following. Case 26-1, special permit application, 29 Smith Neck Road, application to add 425 square feet addition to existing caretaker dwelling, RU 40 zone and within the Gateway Conservation Zone. John Kenny applicant. Case 26-2, special permit application and coastal site plan, 100 Mile Creek Road, application to construct a new single-family dwelling with a total floor area of 6,100. Try this again. 6,113 square feet within the Gateway Conservation Zone, RU 40 zone. Alan Todd applicant. At this hearing, members of the public shall have the opportunity to appear and be heard regarding the proposed adoption of the revised regulations and the other applications. Copies of the full text of the proposed regulations are available for public inspection and of the application as well. They're at the town clerk's office during regular business hours and on the town's official website, dated at Old Lyme, Connecticut, January 25th, 2026. Jane R. Marsh, secretary. We have the following exhibits. Exhibit A is the application B100A. Exhibit B is deep request for natural diversity data. Exhibit C is the site plan. Exhibit D are drawings. Exhibit E is a certificate of mailing. And Exhibit F is the gateway response, which in short indicates that the gateway has no objection to this application. It says here again, CRGC reviewed the application on its January 22nd 2026 meeting. The Gateway Commission determined it is not opposed to the proposed construction of the 425 square feet addition. The addition will not significantly increase the visual bulk of the structure as seen from the Connecticut River and does not violate any of the standards for construction of a structure over 4,000 square feet in size. I think at that point, we're through with the paperwork I need to read.
Okay, great. So we'll start with 26-1, 29 Smith Neck Road.
Good evening. I'm Bob Down, professional engineer and licensed land surveyor. I'm here on behalf of Mr. Kenny regarding his property at 29 Smith Neck Road. We have surveyed the property and the house. We've done soil testing with ledge light, and we've designed a code compliant system. The existing systems, two houses, 2 wells are existing on the property. We're expanding one house by 425 square feet. The coverages increase in not even tenths of a percentage, if you will, on our 5.5 acre parcel. As we went through the process, after we did the soil tests and our design, we had Ledge Light Health review our B100A application. It was approved. So that was forwarded on to Natural Diversity Database, because there is an NDDB designation for this property. We received a response that our project will have no adverse effect on the items. I think a lot of them were fish and eels, etc. And our addition is on the land side of a house that is 346 feet from the coastal jurisdiction line. And the addition is on the far side, I guess I'm going to call it the landward side. Can't be seen from the water, and it fits into the existing house. The existing house has an angled section on the northernmost corner, and we're essentially squaring up the house and improving the interior. It's a single-story structure, and this will be a single-story addition. And I didn't keep up with all 6 exhibits that you said, but I think that the exhibits A through F, we have complete the application, and I think everything has been addressed that and satisfies the requirements of your section 4.10.2 regarding a house that's over 4,000 square feet. And I'm happy to answer any other questions. In your statement of use, one of the items that you request is, will the use change? We're not adding any bedrooms. We're not intensifying the occupancy. The occupancy will stay the same as well as the use. So that's.
Is it used as a single home, or is it used as 2 separate?
2 separate homes. There's a caretaker that lives in the house that we're expanding.
Is the caretaker going to continue to live in that house, or is that?
He's been there
30 years.
30 years, yeah. And that 30
There was
years,
somebody before him for 15.
yeah, that 30 years just came from Nick Sapia, who's the going to be the contractor, and Nick Sapia provided the architecturals that are part of the application package.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission? Mary Jo, do you have any questions?
No, thank you very much. Thank you, Attorney Doan. It was a good presentation.
Thank you. Attorney Doe.
Hey, lucky boy, huh?
I don't know
Well,
if that's a
I'm sorry,
compliment
I
or
didn't
not.
I'm not sure that was a
Sorry,
compliment. I'm
Eric.
sorry.
It's such an insult.
I know. Ooh, I'm crushed. Thank you, though, Mary Jo. Appreciate it.
Well,
Any
I
other-
can't see you, so I can hear you, and it was a good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commission?
Good application.
No. So, at this time, I take comments from the public. Does anybody from the public have comments on 29 Smith's Neck Road? No comments from the public? Guess we're done until we get to our decision making. Should we close the public hearing here or do we do it in deliberations?
Well, you can close it here and you can either wait on deliberations until you get to the next phase, or you can deliberate now, depending on your pleasure. But yes, you need to close the public hearing now.
Personally, I would say let's close it and just vote on it and get it out of the way.
Yeah. So do you want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second,
Thank you, Mary Jo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
aye.
And any abstentions? Okay, so we're closing the public hearing. And I agree with Michael. We can probably just deliberate since we didn't hear. Is there any further deliberation or any concerns anyone has?
I do not.
Seems straightforward.
So we'll make a motion that we approve.
Okay. I have a motion to approve the application as presented.
Second,
Second by Mary Jo. Any further comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Everybody said aye, so I guess we don't need to do the,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here tonight.
okay, on to our next application, 26-2, special permit application of coastal site plan, 100 Mile Creek Road. Application to construct a new single-family dwelling, total floor area of 6,113 square feet in the Gateway Conservation Zone.
Again, I've already read the public legal notice, rather. Let me go through the exhibits briefly. Exhibit A is the application. Exhibit B is the coastal site plan review. Exhibit C is the schematic drawings revised. Exhibit D is the coastal site plan revised. Exhibit E is the statement of use. Exhibit F is the gateway response. Exhibit G is the certificates of mailing. And again, the gateway response on this is positive. Does not oppose the application. The proposed development does not violate any gateway standards and is not adverse to the protection and development of the Gateway Conservation Zone. CRGC commends the colors of the structure to blend in with the natural environment, that muted colors can be used for the roof, and that the exterior lighting will be downward facing, full cutoff, dark sky compliant, and limited to that needed for the safety and security.
Thank you. We'll hear from the applicant. Welcome.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Joe Run, professional engineer of Indigo in Old Saybrook. With me is David Noe, 369 Scenic, of 360 Design Plus, also in Old Saybrook. If you recall, we were here last month. We kind of went briefly through the application, but since some of you probably were not here, and it's been a month, I'll just go through it quickly
And
again.
like I said, this is the public hearing, so we need everything on the record you want to say.
Correct. Yeah, I think a very valid point. Thank you. So to start from scratch, where we started on this project, it's nearly 4 acres, 3+ acres, with frontage on Blackhall River and some tidal marshes here in Tidal Creek. This at the bottom of the page is Mile Creek Road. There presently is a nearly 80-90-year-old structure here. It's a very small house. We did go to the Zoning Board of Appeals early on so that we can keep this house and propose to construct a main house on the property. So this would become an accessory dwelling permitted. With that, it's partially in the front yard setback. But we needed a variance to do that because we would not be able to propose another dwelling on the property if that wasn't accepted as an accessory dwelling previously. There is a condition in that ZBA approval that this house get built within 18 months, I believe the number was, of that ZBA approval after the appeal period expired. So we're in front of this commission now, very similar to the last application. 2 houses on the same property. This one's already permitted. It's been there forever. This is the new proposed house. All the development is more than 100 feet away from the coastal resource, which is the tidal marsh. So tidal marsh in green, 50-foot setback in yellow, and 100-foot setback in pink. So you can see that transition, and we kept everything, even the grading, the septic system, outside of that 100 feet. Because of all those features, in combination with the house being over 4,000 square feet, it's not that it's an overly large house. It's actually a 1-story house with a walkout basement in the back with the grading. So based on your regulations, computing gross floor area, all of those spaces, the garage, the basement, all that counts towards floor area. And for the gateway thing, we also have to take into account any other structures on the property. So the cumulative GFA on the property is over 4,000 square feet as presented. So because of that, requires a special permit. Trips the gateway regulations. We did go to gateway, as Eric had mentioned. We did receive a favorable review from them, mainly because everything was kept outside of 100 feet. The other critical things are non-reflective glass to save the birds on the backside of the house. The lighting will be minimal for safety and security. All will be dark sky compliant, shining downward, not up and out. And the materials chosen, David can go through this when he goes through the house quickly, but natural, I don't want to say dull, but kind of blending colors and materials so that it blends into the landscape rather than sticks out starkly on the landscape. So briefly, just to kind of present the overall site plan to you, there is a current driveway that comes in for this house here. That driveway would just be extended back to the new garage on the right side of the house. These lines represent the grading. So we have the higher flat area in the front, and then it slopes down to the walkout basement, lower level in the back. There is a deck back there, and what was added since we provided revised plans, as Eric had also mentioned, is there's a screen porch in this location also. Again, everything consistent with the septic system that's already designed and approved, and everything's outside of the 100 feet. So we meet all of the zoning regulations with flying colors because the lot's so large. So we don't need any other variances to the zoning regulations other than the one that we already got, just to keep the small house on the property, which was unanimously approved last fall. Last time, before I turn it over to Dave to just walk through the house quickly for you, last time there was some discussion of a 15-foot right-of-way that extends from Mile Creek Road along the edge of the property to town-owned property on the east side there that was formerly a town dump. So there are several interesting buried things on that property, is my understanding. Some of the board members had some questions about that right away last time. I did speak to the property owner about that. He is with us tonight. Mr. Alan Todd is here in the audience. So if you have any additional questions related to that, the right of way will remain. It was all covered in thicket and brush and thorns and briars. He cleared that, so it is passable. He did plant some trees that were brought up last time, but with those trees in a 15-foot wide passway, that's probably from the end of the table to Eric, I would say, it's plenty wide enough for a person to navigate through the right of way and get back to it. He has no plans of cutting that off. It's a deeded access and will be kept passable, correct? Kept passable to the public as seen fit. There's not many folks that know about it, not many people that use it, but it is there and it's much more passable now than it has been in several years. So with that, I'll have David, the architect, go through the building plans with you for any questions.
I think
Clarifications.
Joe got most of it, but I'll quickly run you guys through. This is the foundation plan, but we'll jump to the lower level. So essentially, as Joe said, this is a one-story house with a lower level that walks out. On that lower level, we have a workshop for the owner. 2 bedrooms down here with a full bath. And that's the lower level, looking out towards the water. This here is the garage above on the first floor. When we get up to the first floor here. On this level, we have an entry from the home at grade. At this level, we have a 2-car garage to the right. Standard program of living room, dining room, kitchen, half bath, sort of in the main box of the house. And then the master bedroom off towards the left with the full bath, closet, and then a study. This is the newly proposed screen porch that Joe was talking about. This kind of came in at the end, realizing how many bugs there are. So that was, a request of the owner. Yeah, so this is essentially the main level at grade. And then that floor that we showed you before was down below all this, walking out.
So there's no living space above that level.
Yeah, so this would be built with roof trusses up above. So this is that upper level, essentially looks more like a ranch. So we're trying to keep the scale down a little bit. And then on the back where we look out to the water, that's where we have the 2-story home. We'll be covering the concrete with stone to make it look, like it blends with the landscape, and then working with the grades coming down around the corners of the home and just dropping that grade around to kind of nestle the house in a little bit.
But the roof line too, Dave.
Yeah, so we worked
like the roof lines.
We worked really hard with this roof line to keep that 35 foot from grade. We're just at that now at like 30 foot 11. Or I'm sorry, 34 foot 11. So yeah, and that's at the highest point.
To the lowest, measured to the lowest point of the ground.
Yeah, that's all the way back here. Up here in the front, it's much lower.
And the other thing to point out too, with that 3411, that's only for this small section of the roof. This steps down. That ridge steps down, and then the ends also step down because they're just 1 story on those ends. So it's just that small portion of the house that's up to the
Is that measuring from the finished grade?
lowest point. Existing
Yeah.
grade, lowest point.
Existing grade.
We're at
Existing.
Gateway, Gateway, or in conservation zone, so existing grade, lowest point to highest ridge of the roof.
Yeah, so we have a small step. We're at lowest existing grade was 10, slabs at 11 foot 2. So have to take quite a bit of finessing. So again, here, like these are the side elevations. You can see how we brought the grades around. So you start up higher and then drop down as you move around the house towards the back. Kind of trying to maintain that, coastal aesthetic with the shakes. And again, those would be muted colors to not stick out. No pink siding or anything like that. This is getting more into our construction drawings as we've been moving forward, but I don't think this
But
is.
here you could also see the, like Dave mentioned before, what could be perceived as attic space above the first floor living is all trusses. So there's no potential for any habitable space in the attic.
I think that's about it. These are more sectional stuff. It's all our technical stuff that we've been working on.
Do you have an existing topo versus the proposed topo?
On the site plan. Site plan has both existing and proposed. All the lighter dashed contours that are numbered, that's all the existing grade, and then the solid, as it shows in the legend, all the solid lines with the numbers. It's a 1 foot contour, so it looks like there's.
Those are existing. What I'm trying to look at is the
Yeah, so the light dashed ones are existing and the dark solid ones.
Easier if you just brought the big thing over for you? or-
No, this is fine. I can see it here. No, I just needed that explanation. Now I understand it here a little bit better.
So currently, the lot slopes down kind of at a consistent gradual slope. But
Mhm.
obviously to bring the front yard up to make the flat front yard and make the driveway match the garage. This is filled in here. It's sloping like that, and then we're adding the fill to make it level so that we can access the garage and the front door. And then as a result of that, we have chasing the grade around the sides of the house since we have that walkout condition on.
Gotcha. I don't want to interrupt your presentation, so if you,
No,
I'll have questions after if
Feel
you
free.
prefer to.
I'm all.
Yeah, I think we have the ENS controls, just really quickly, since we have tidal wetlands within close proximity. Again, everything is kept outside the 100-foot. Even the footing drain area is kept outside the 100-foot. The septic area is outside the 100-foot. We do have silt fence, surrounding all the proposed disturbance. That will be maintained through construction. There is a temporary stockpile area here that Wetlands likes us to show. We do have utilities. There's a well here for this house that will be shared to the main house. The electric utilities on the other side of the road. So there will be a new pole added on Mr. Todd's side to go over the roadway, and then it would drop down to underground to the new house in that location. This also, we didn't talk much about it yet tonight, but coastal area management applications now apply to this. And we also submitted a CAM application for this review. Did we have DP?
I was say, let me guess, you didn't get comments back.
They've not gotten comments.
No comments. And sometimes, so as of October 1st last year, DEP, anything in the coastal zone, DEP now requires a CAM review. Several we've seen so far like this, where there's no activity within 100 feet of coastal resource, and we just don't get a letter by the date of the meeting, because there's really not much that they're concerned about, right? Because we're more than the recommended 100 feet away. Other ones that are closer to 100 feet, there are some comments, or if they're in a flood zone. That's the other thing we haven't really talked too much about tonight. The flood zone is in here where the marsh is, so we're well above, or several feet above the flood zone. With the main floor of the house, and the basement floor of the house is also above flood. The FEMA flood plus the one for the town flood ordinance. So we're all above that. So we meet FEMA, exceed FEMA, we meet CAM. And tried to keep it consistent with the regulations as much as possible. The only thing exceeded was the 4,000 square feet, and that's why we're here.
Could you just rock us, you talked a little bit about the erosion sediment control, so we've got the silt fence, stockpile area. Could you just give us a little on the stormwater management, anything you need to?
Yes.
To make sure you're compliant with that?
Yep, very, very valid point. Again, since it's coastal area management is required, we have to retain the first now 1.3 inches of runoff on site, 30% increase from what we're used to, the first inch. So on this one, Mr. Todd elected to go with no gutters. So we're not collecting the water and point discharging it somewhere. Off the drip edges of the roof, mainly the long sides, and then some short rakes on the ends. There's a 3-foot wide rounded stone bed to the surface all the way around, and that bed with its depth and its dimensions retains more than the 1.3 inches of runoff. That information is down here. And
you have a design for that?
Or that's right here. I was just looking more closely.
Yeah, that's the calculations, but do you have a design on how you want that to look?
I don't know if we included a detail or not. I'll look on the detail, but I know that we did provide the dimensions of that. Let me see if we provided a detail. I don't know. That's been a while. That we're at Crestone Drive as well, so that we get permeability and infiltration there. We don't have a detail, but it's very simple. It's 3 feet wide. I believe it's 18 inches deep, 3 feet wide, 18 inches deep.
Yeah, I think you should
around
make sure we get specs on what you want for materials in there. So that, you don't have someone doing stuff around the house and putting clay in, because you kind of want that to drain away from your house.
Yeah, the soils on the site are really, really good. We have the soil information here as well. And it's all sand. The whole site is sanded. It's very well drained. We have it right here. Proposed 3-foot wide rounded stone perimeter apron. See computations on the sheet, which.
Yeah, I think let's get a little bit more detail on that so we can make sure our engineer takes a look at that.
Which
I
engineer?
agree.
Yeah, our town engineers. Our consulting engineers, we want to take a look at that and make sure.
Okay, is that standard? I'm not used to.
If they're asking for it, it's standard. I mean,
Okay.
Maybe as a condition if it gets to that point.
Yeah, hopefully that wouldn't hold up a decision just because it's there. We're not adding it, it's there.
No,
And it's just, it's 3 feet wide. I don't know. We could show a detail. It's just gonna be a rectangle with a stone hatch that shows 3 feet wide. It's, it's not.
This is Mary Jo. I would also agree with Commissioner Savageau's recommendation that we have formal design plans on that. It's in a very sensitive environmental area.
It on the last application, Smith's Neck Road, I didn't hear the same requirement. So I was just curious why on this application, not the last. Just curious. So it's larger house, but still we're required to do 1.3 inches, right? Whether it's small or big. So
So I
Just
want to make
curious.
sure, so we want to make sure the calculations are right and that that's why we would send it to our engineer. And then also that the design is saying, so we appreciate that your soils are good, but I also know what happens with soils when we drive equipment over it and whatever and compact the soils or do something. So we want to make sure that drainage is, and I'm hopefully protecting not only us from stormwater runoff because that's what we're looking at and it's about the quality of stormwater, but also making sure that you're not creating problems, from a basement perspective for the homeowner. So I want to just make sure we've got that so that it drains appropriately and does what it needs to do.
yeah, we have footing drains. We have perimeter footing drains. Again, the only thing the detail is going to show is a rectangle like this that says 3 feet wide that we already called out in the plan. I'm not sure what else we could really propose. It could go to the engineer, hopefully as a condition that doesn't hold us up because this is our second month now with this plan. And again, it's very similar to the last application. So I'm not, I'm still a little confused why the same requirement wasn't on the last application. Just for consistency. So if it could be a condition of approval, I'm fine. I mean, I can actually draw the detail right now and hand it to you if you want.
I don't want to do that. Man.
We want an engineer to do it.
He is
so-
an engineer.
Yeah, okay, so do it. Then, so as an engineer, you're telling me why you wouldn't want to spec, because you're not gonna be out in the field. You're gonna be handing these plans
Mhm.
to somebody, a construction person.
These are very detailed plans. They
So,
usually don't
and
get
that's why
plans
I
this
want the
detailed.
engineering detail around this. And when you're talking about something like, when people say it's a simple solution that we're just gonna draw a box and the rain is gonna go in it, I just wanna make sure that it works. And I don't want other people coming back at us and saying like, why did you approve something that resulted in a wet basement for us, as well as any other implications for it?
Here we go. 18 inches deep, 3 feet wide, 2 to 3 inch rounded stone.
But what do you need for soils
here.
under that to make sure it drains? And how do you
The
make
whole
sure?
site is sandy soil. Where's the clay gonna come from?
I am asking you
Right.
to make sure that if you were designing a rain garden or something like that, you need to tell me what is the requirement for the soils under there. So don't be flip, please.
No, I'm not. I'm still a little curious why this wasn't a requirement for the last application and it's a requirement for this one. That I'm still confused on. This is really good sandy soil. Smith's Neck Road, we have ledge. This is several feet. We have the soil.
Depends on what you presented.
We have the soil testing right here, okay? So let's go through that because this is a very obviously important detail. So 2 test holes were done. This one went down to 112 inches. The description is coarse sand and gravel, a few cobbles. No modeling, which is evidence of high groundwater. No groundwater and no ledge, 112 inches. Okay. It's over 9 feet, 9 feet 4 inches, all right? Test pit number 2 went down to 107 inches, and that was medium to fine sand and gravel, no modeling. Groundwater was at, I believe that says 99 inches, so over 8 feet deep, no lead. Those test holes were here and here on a lower contour. So we're down 8-9 feet to groundwater or no groundwater down here. We're up on the contour here, and we have similar soil.
Okay.
The
So
2
so I
perk
have a
tests, I'm not
question
done, I'm not done yet.
Can I ask you, stop for 1 second? You're giving me existing ground conditions. Are the soil conditions gonna be exactly the same once you build the house and do all the contouring?
So Mr. Todd is familiar with construction. He already has a builder that he has a history with, and his general contractor will be overseeing the construction. This contractor is not going to backfill with large boulders and clay. They're going to backfill the foundation with an appropriate material. The building official, that's separate permit from this, in order to get a building permit and his inspections, he's not going to allow the basement to be backfilled with an unsuitable material. It's going to be a well-drained material. It has to be by code. The foundation wall is going to be waterproof. There are going to be perimeter footing drains all around the edge, which we show and we include, and we show an outlet for the footing drain there. So everything is here. These are more detailed plans than you usually see. We deal with a lot of contractors. There are some in this room, and you can easily follow this plan and build this. I'm just baffled why this new last time, and now it's a big deal. So anyways, good material on site, down 8 feet on lower contour. The perk rates I was just getting into, the perk rates are very, very fast. So very well draining soil on the site.
Can we not stipulate that the condition of approval just lists that native soil needs to be used in that specific location?
We can. I'm asking him if he could put the stuff on and that we send it to our engineer, and he's giving me a hard time.
Well, I would somewhat agree with Mr. Wren. He's a professional engineer. I don't think we need to send it out to our town engineer when we have a qualified engineer right here in front of us. I think that's an unnecessary expense on an applicant that is not being applied unilaterally. So
Is that custom? That's a question I'm new. Is it customary?
no. Has not been.
I think most
Just a question.
importantly, I think Joe's asking that this doesn't hold up a decision to move forward. Because, as you stated,
I would agree.
we can't, by code, we can't backfill that with
Unsuitable
clay
material.
or boulders or, it has to be
Not
perfect.
only that, the soil you're taking out for the foundation could be
Right.
the material you just listed off here is suitable backfill material. If I'm not mistaken, off the
I just
foundation.
included well-drained native soil underneath. And by the way, this is designed to hold 1.3 inches of water, even if it didn't leak into the ground. So even if this was not well draining soil, which it has to be because
So
it's
how
up
is it
against
gonna hold the soil? How is it gonna hold the rain?
in the pores of the stone, 2 to 3 inches of stone. There's a 40% void ratio in the stone, and that's all calculated into here. And it's more than 1.3 inches. Where the storage provided is almost 2,900 gallons, and the minimum storage that's required is 2,787. So we're more than what's required for the 1.3 inches of runoff. So within you put 2 to 3 inch stone in a trench, and it's not concrete. So there approximately 40% of the area is voids that can be taken up by water. So that's how those are computed. It's a standard thing in coastal environment. We do it very commonly. It's typically not questioned.
And how is it maintained so that it doesn't get sediments in it from either the roof runoff or plant materials starting to grow in there?
If you get some sediments in here, it's 2 to 3 inch rounded stone, it's still going to drain. I mean, you would have to pour slurry in that for that not to drain, and it's gonna have the sandy soil below it. These are very commonly used in Fenwick and coastal areas. We never had a problem. We even did it on a dental practice and 5 years ago, and it works beautifully still to this day.
I mean, ultimately, you can put in screens inside the gutters to stop any if you're having a direct point discharge to that.
Well, there's no gutters. That's the
Okay,
whole thing.
so there you go. There's
No
your
gutters.
sedimentation is going to be collected through the ground.
Yeah, I mean, the only
Well,
thing
that's-
you're gonna get off the roof is.
Yeah, but if,
Problem.
but not really, because it's not like it's sitting here with like road debris coming down the road. It's rainwater falling off the roof onto the ground. I understand your concern, but I think he just articulated
I
how.
understand what he's saying. It's like usually you put the design standard on and you don't make the assumption that it's like, okay, everything's just fine because he knows it's fine. But then when it gets to a contractor, that doesn't always.
But even then, it
Work.
could still be off, right? What's to say the contractor's going to do the work the way they're supposed to? Right? So you have to have some faith in the process.
If you make it as part of the design, then there's no question. This is what they have to do. If you just
did.
make the assumption,
Okay, it's on here. I'll leave this as an exhibit for you. To keep in the file.
So he just gave us the design.
Filter fabric around the 3 sides where it touches soil, 2 to 3 inches around the stone, 18 inches deep, 3 feet wide. Actually very simple though.
I didn't say it wasn't simple, but why were you making it hard?
Because it wasn't required for the last applicant, and
At that,
the last 200 of these I've done, it's never been questioned, and they work fine, they get built fine, so that's why I was.
I'm going to pivot if that's
Well,
if Denise.
This is
Contractor wants
Mary
it to work,
Jo,
otherwise
and
the
I'm just-
contractors come back to fix it.
This is Mary Jo, and I just like to focus on this application if possible. I understand the presenter's comments, fine. But Commissioner Savageau is an expert in this, and I support her questions. I also support your adding the additional information, because like Commissioner Savageau, I think it's better to have it on the plan. We've had a lot of instances where things have happened years after, and it's for our supporting evidence and future zoning commissions to have that on here. It's about as simple as I can make my reasons for asking you to kindly do that, and I appreciate that very much. Now, the other question I have, as the town of Old Lyme is a butter of sorts on this, has our engineer looked at this?
No, this was not sent to the engineer. This was a standard single-family house.
Mhm.
It is sufficiently interior to the proposal, it's not near the setbacks. Our engineer does not standardly review single-family house applications of this sort. I can send it out to the engineer for particular reasons, but I did not send this application out.
Yeah, that's my question in particular. Thank you, Eric, is because we are an abutter to this property. Would there have been normally, would that have been a case that you might have if we had, say, in Tantamaheg issue? That's where I'm coming from.
Well, but, okay, there is the right of way. The right of way is not affected by this application. If there had been a concern about the right of way being affected by this application, I would have sent it probably to our lawyer more than to our engineer, because the right of way is a legal issue. You've heard testimony this evening that the right of way is not going to be altered by this application. Regarding the testimony that it's now clearer than it has been, I can't independently verify this. I haven't been out there, but you have no contravening testimony at this point in time. Per the legal requirements of the right of way, it needs to be kept clear. But again, the right of way is sort of a property rights issue unrelated to the permitting issue. So I think we need to try and keep them separate for the purpose of this application.
Mary Jo,
That's fine.
I
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm going
No,
to
go
bring up
ahead.
some comments about the right of way, because that's what I was waiting for.
yeah, that's a,
So the town is, and I understand it's not part of this application, but right now we have an existing topography there that is going to change on with those topo lines there, right? So I'm looking at our existing topo versus the proposed topo.
Mhm.
Would it, basically, if the town, what's that?
It's flatter,
It's gonna be flatter now than it,
proposed. Yeah, if you look at, so right here is the same, right? There's really no proposed grading on this
yeah,
section.
I'm specifically looking where it
Turn that
transition,
90-degree
yeah.
corner. So if you look at that, it goes off on an angle like this, right? So you could see that 19 contour.
Yep,
The 19 contour for almost the entire length of that follows it. So since it's running parallel, it's dead flat. It's all 19.
yeah, but,
Well, until you get to that spruce tree.
okay,
Okay. And then after that spruce tree, you could see it kind of generally matches the existing grade there for the steepness, and then it touches the town line. So there's a little bit of grade that's existing, and then there's a swale that goes back up because we didn't want the fill that's needed here for the garage. We didn't want to drain onto whether this is a town property or anybody else's property. We didn't want to drain that onto their property. So we created a swale in here. Right there. So you just have to go
so I
down
guess,
through and up.
Joe, my concern is that right now there's a grant application for this town property
Yep.
that, well, they'll need to access this with a vehicle.
Mhm.
So my concern is whatever you guys do there, it has to be in such a way that we can put a road through it and get vehicles out there. That's a real situation that's going to happen. So like the trees, for instance, up in the front, they're going to have to be relocated along that property line because they're presently on there. I'm sure Mr. Todd would have no problem with moving them.
So I talked to Mr. Todd about that. And again, that's when he told me that he cleared all the brush. And
I know, we used to be there. It's really thick.
So it's more passable now, but he also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he also did say that he's not opposed to the town using his driveway, right? To get to that property.
Well, that was my next discussion, because if that's the case, that might need to be a condition of the approval, right? I'm not kind of overstepping into the land rights issue here, but Mr. Todd, it might be, I'm speaking directly to you now. You're going to have all this money and improvements on your new road coming in. Is there a way to maybe where the right of way gets moved so it's enhanced by your driveway improvements, or do we move it more to the right so that way it's not interfering with your improvements? There needs to be access to that town property regardless. It's 15-foot wide. It has to be accessible through vehicle. So what I don't want to do is have you do all your building, get all this beautiful fancy grades in your lawn, and then they come through and put a road through the middle of it and it wrecks whatever you just built. So I just want to make sure that there's dialogue there on how to accomplish that goal. And then there's a letter I have to submit into the record. I don't know if it meant it get here, but it was from one of the selectmen. It says, I'm writing with regard to 100 Mile Creek application currently being considered. The town of Old Lyme owns 102 Mile Creek Road, which abuts the property. The only access to the town is via right of way in favor of the town through 100 Mile Creek. The right of way has been recently obstructed with plantings. The town of Old Lyme is currently developing a plan to perform an environmental assessment of 102, which has evidently been used as a dump at some point. If hazardous material is found, the town will be looking at remediation strategies. The assessment process will require heavy machinery such as backhoes and dump trucks to access the site via the right of way. As such, it appears that this would be a good time for the zoning commission to work with the property owner to address accessibility issues to make the town's efforts to improve environmental conditions along the Black Hawk River. This was from Jim Lampos, selectman. So I'm just reading. He sent it in via email, but he sent it to me to read just in case. So do you have any?
So my thought is that
You can just give your name for the record, sir.
Alan Todd. This is my property.
Yep, correct.
Get very oriented here. So coming in right away, right there. So the road that we're going to improve back to this corner,
Mhm.
I'm assuming that the town, any vehicles that want to go to the town property will use that rather than right up against the 15 feet, right against that boundary. At this point, it's a clear shot.
Yeah. It's just that when you might be okay with it, but some other owner might not, right? So because the right of way runs with the land, I'm just trying to make sure that whatever agreement we have to make, it's okay, and it can run with the land as well. It's just, I don't want you to put all this money in on a road and then someone else comes in and puts another road right next to your road that you already established, because technically they can. And that's my concern is I don't want to.
One question that I have is, do you know if it's a right of way, it's only 15 feet wide, do you know if it's passable by foot, by pedestrian or vehicles? Or both?
It's just an easement
Right.
recall the right of way. I have no idea.
Because Michael's talking about if they have to remediate that coming over your property with backhoes and triaxles and.
They might not be okay with that, you
That's a
know?
little different, but does the right of way, are you going to take this turn and stay in 15 feet with a triaxle? I mean,
Any vehicle would have to stay within a 15.
That's what I'm getting at. So,
footprint, yes.
so in theory, you're definitely gonna be able to fit a vehicle in 15 feet of width. That's why it's
that
probably
right of way
15 feet.
Allows vehicular access.
Okay,
That's-
guys, I think we're really getting off the subject of this application. We're
Well,
getting-
not really,
no, we're
because there are topography lines and everything goes within it, so we have to discuss it.
I understand, but we can't, okay. If you believe that this application shouldn't be granted because of the location of the right of way, I
I'm
understand.
not saying that.
But short of that, we are not in a position to negotiate property rights
I
as a
understand.
zoning commission.
I understand that.
So if there are amendments that need to be made to this application to address its proximity to the right of way, that's where you need to be. You can't be talking about what rights are or are not in
Correct.
that right of way, because that right of way is a fixed
Thing.
property right. And it can only be adjusted by town meeting, which is outside of our scope. So I understand your concerns about it, but I guess what I think you need to focus on is the right of way is what it is. If you need to adjust the application, adjust the application. But we can't adjust the right of way or even discuss the possibility of adjusting the right of way as part of this application. So everything has to be on the side of what do you want the property owner to do with this application in knowing that the right of way is there.
And that's kind of why I'm articulating this conversation. That's why I'm having it, because the only way we can discuss it is by discussing it. So I appreciate Mr. Todd coming up to discuss it, but only because there's now changing topography lines in the right of way, we have to discuss it. So
Mr. Trent, did I understand to that point? Did I understand that the proposed grading changes you're going to make are actually going to flatten the access and improve the?
not based on what I'm
There's
saying.
no, so it went through this in like thirds, right? So this first portion here, there's no grade changes.
Right.
It's all the same as it is. Once we get up into here, this next third is much more flat than it is now. It's not steep now by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going like this to like this.
And how about the last?
So then the last bit of it here to get the swale in, so the topo doesn't come to the property line and shed water onto this property. There's a swale in there, but from this point to this point is only a 3-foot change in grade. And then it just matches the existing grade there. So it's
But what's
not,
the side slope? Because the way I'm looking at the topography lines there, it looks like there's going to be a slide slope, right?
are we required to build the road for you?
No, not at all. But you also do you want them to have someone come through and ruin his grading?
If they're making it flatter from a slope, it's arguably not.
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to discuss, you, Joe, is if the town was to come in and improve their right of way to put a road across that, how will that affect his topography? I just want to make sure we're not screwing him.
Right now, and I appreciate that, right now, we don't have the ability to grade onto this property.
Understood.
So we have to slope down.
Correct.
Because we have to respect the property.
Yep.
When the town comes in and they own that property, they can grade more onto that property and drag the grading out to make it flatter.
But they can't adjust the grading on your land
They could.
within the 15 foot.
Within the right of way.
Okay. I'm just having the conversation because I hate to see Mr. Todd spend all this money in engineering and then the town comes through and puts this road through and it totally messes up his whole deal.
Comment that said the town owns that. I don't think.
No, you own it. You own it. Yep. You own
They
it
have the right to
over it.
go access,
Correct.
have a right of access.
Correct. So that's what I'm getting at. I just don't want to see the right of access for the town mess up your beautiful new site plan once you build it.
I think the idea too is like, once you're gonna stabilize this so that you're gonna regrade the whole area, stabilize it and whatever, but so if you're gonna spend a lot on landscaping, for example, in that area, but understanding that it's a right of way, and I think that's Michael's.
That's what, I don't want to see you spend all this money and then someone come in and rip it all out.
And I was looking at, the way the right of way is, where the driveway cut is onto the property. And I do appreciate that Mr. Todd's like, hey, they could cut my driveway and then go onto the right of way.
Which is great.
I appreciate that, but I would recommend that if you have to, and I don't know if you need a road cut here for Mile Creek Road, what's required on that particular road to make sure you get a driveway cut, but having a driveway cut that where someone may not want to share with the right of way, like with the town's road at some point, you may want to make sure that you can do a road cut for the driveway that's not where the right of way is.
So road cut's already there. The driveway's already there for the existing house.
This
So
is-
he's just
this is the
planning
existing,
on
Denise.
matching.
Denise.
This is all existing.
I'm,
So we're just matching it.
I understand.
I'm just showing you that that's the perspective.
Yeah.
Well, up to this spruce tree right here, it's very flat from the road, right to that point. The last 60 feet or so goes down our slope because we can't grade onto your property.
Understood.
So the last 60 feet just has to grade off. At the time, when the town's ready to do this, when funds are appropriated and years go by and this is all approved through referendum. Prior to that, the town could come in and make some agreement to relocate, move that right away, just like Eric said, just not doing it right now.
I understand that, guys.
But he's open to it if it allows vehicular access through there, because 15 feet's pretty narrow for vehicular access. It's plenty wide for pedestrian.
I mean, it's a driveway. That's the driveway width.
12 feet is a normal driveway width, but when you get a track, so making turns, it's.
I mean, but it's not like a 90-degree turn here. It's like very shallow.
Yeah, it's not, well, I don't know
think
what
we've
happens here.
accomplished what Selectman Lampos wanted, which was to bring it up to.
Yeah,
sorry,
that's fine. I'm ready to move
just
on
make
from
sure,
it. I
Mr.
just
Todd, that
didn't
you're aware
want to be a
that
disadvantage.
the town is in this, going through this process as well. And if there's anything you wanted to raise at this time, this was a good time to do it. It's just to open discussion, not to.
I'm not trying to redesign your property, Mr. Todd. I just don't want to see you spend all the money and then be really pissed off when someone comes through with this 15-foot right of way to get tri-access
Another
through.
way to say it is to be surprised when the town does.
Like, can I ask a question? Would there be a reason why these wouldn't be congruent? Like, why wouldn't the driveway run with the right of way?
I mean, it could if he was to choose that.
Well, right now, this has been the driveway forever. And whenever they did the right of way, they just made it 15 feet off of that property line. And
Yeah.
that's what gets overgrown in there.
It's the first 15 feet.
So again, what I envisioned seeing happen was this come through, because one of the very first things Mr. Todd told me about when we start working on this property was this right away.
Yeah.
He knows about it, he knew about it forever. And we had to kind of work with that. So it sounds like from listening to him, sounds like he's more than willing to work with the town at the time. He probably doesn't prefer it to run all the way up to his garage before it goes out there.
Absolutely.
There's probably a better solution to break off like at this point,
Definitely.
where it's very, very flat all the way to the property line and then enter that way. Because if you get these trucks up on this, I'm not sure why this was designed like this originally anyways, but on that sharp angle, if they're going straight in, fine. But if they have to turn back and come this way, it's very impossible. So, a better solution is to come through here, and that would help him too. So as you get to this 90-degree angle, it branches off. Go to the right, go to the town property, stay straight, go to his garage.
I'm fine with
So,
that.
but I think we're set because Selectman Lampos's statement has been read and is in the
That's fine.
record. So
So,
it's part of the application now.
so I would, my suggestion or my request would be to move the plantings in the first 15 feet.
Move the what?
Like the trees where you just planted them?
No, let them, that's their, I think that's what Eric's saying. That's not in our
That's a
purview.
suggestion,
Yeah.
but I don't know that you want to make it a condition of approval.
No.
Okay, you've expressed your concerns about his proposal. He can take those for what they're worth. I don't know that it reaches the level. I mean, honestly, the only reason you're looking at.
I know, because it's over the 4,000.
There we go. So it's a gateway proposal. So you should be looking at this for whether it meets the gateway standards. And I think we've sort of wandered a little bit away from the gateway
That's fine.
standard.
I'm ready to move on.
But it's also a CAM approval.
It is a CAM approval as well. So how,
So just quickly on that, in terms of the driveway, you're not planning any renovations to the driveway at this point? At the entrance?
I'm not sure at the entrance, we're matching in right here. You can see the proposed lines. We're matching in right there with the new driveway. Whether they redress the existing one or something from construction traffic, that's up to them. But right now it's gravel and the driveway all the way up to the garage is gravel. So
I guess one of the things I would be in is just making sure that, some people put gates in, they do this. This is going to be, because the driveway and the right of way are intertwined at that point. I would just say that, like, we need to make sure that there's no, no restriction put in there. And I don't know, I don't see anything proposed, but not knowing if you're gonna, we always, again, have to think about, the next owner.
Right.
And so, and especially, and if not knowing where people are gonna be or why they were improving the
Well,
property.
legally, it's a deeded right of way, so it has to remain open to
Yeah.
whether they say
Yeah.
vehicles and by
Okay.
foot or just one or the other,
Doesn't
whatever.
specify.
Legally, it's legally bound that he has that on his property, and has to have it open. So if there's a gate or an obstruction, then you could enforce him to move.
I would point out that before I cleared all of the jungle of what was there,
Yeah, you couldn't get through there right now anyway.
what I put in place of it was some screening.
Correct.
That's a lot less than what was there.
I know it was. I know.
So
I'm not saying it's not a good improvement.
Okay, I think we're good.
I'm not, hold on, I'm just having a discussion.
There.
I think you have a general understanding that Mr. Todd will work with.
That's
you.
fine.
absolutely.
In the
I know, I just-
future
it
to adjust.
Merely
the
out
right
of concern for
way.
him.
We don't have to move trees. We could just move the right of way and have it on the existing driveway.
Sounds good to me. I just didn't want to see him
Because the trees are nice.
upset by it.
They're good screenings.
Avoid that soil.
We like trees. Gateway likes trees.
Everybody likes trees.
Well, that's where the town could negotiate that at some other point, but.
All
just
right, sorry to get everybody off topic. I just didn't want to see him spend the money and then be disappointed.
It's fine. There's a letter from the selectmen, so we want to address it, talk about it. But, it's not like you have a property owner here who's saying, no.
No, I know. I'm not
don't go
arguing
on
it.
My property. No,
I'm sorry if I'm coming off that way. That is not my intention. If I'm being interpreted that way, I apologize.
I think we're going to have a really nice site, really good plan. I mean, on 4 acres, he realistically could.
It's a great spot.
He can get 2 lots on this property.
I know.
And he's not asking for that.
Do we have any other commissioners who have any questions right now about any of the work?
Should we just,
Good, this is Mary Jo.
do a quick check-in on how much fill is gonna be brought in? Because that's in the regs.
It's not a gravel mining operation. It's the fill is only what's necessary for the construction of a single family house and septic system.
But you're bringing in fill, you're not just redistributing, so you're gonna have to bring in fill. 'Cause I guess-
I'm not sure what the exact amount is, but yeah, to level this off, and then there's some excavation around here,
Yeah, that's,
and excavation for the basement as well.
yeah, it's in 41010. Addition in connection with landscaping, grading land for purpose for its building permits not required, there's such removal to exceed 300 cubic yards of material per year.
Those regulations are usually when you're doing something not involving a construction project like this. When you're just filling a property or when you're just excavating a property. For obvious reasons, because you need an application to be able to review that and make sure it's done properly. This excavation and filling and excavating is all done within the confines of the permit and the ENS controls for a single family house. Does that sound consistent, Perry?
Again, the commission's obligation here is to make sure that it's meeting against gateway standards. And if they need more information about how much fill you're bringing in, that's up to them, whether they have enough information to make a decision. So I'm not going to make that call for them. They've asked about fill. You said some will need to be brought in, but you don't know how much. Whether they need more information or not, I'm going to leave the commission to decide.
I think we need more information.
Me personally, I'm
Can you
okay with
provide-
what you
can you-
presented.
Can you
So the front
provide that, Joe?
elevation,
We've done hundreds and hundreds of these and we never had to provide a fill calculation for a single family house. It's standard. There's nothing unusual about the.
Part of this is a result of providing the owner with the single story house that we're looking to achieve. And that's to bring this front up. And you can see here, we immediately drop as soon as possible. And then as soon as we get around the garage, we drop. So essentially the fill we're bringing in is what's needed specifically, right? To create this
Yeah.
single story house.
Makes sense. The minimum amount
Joe-
necessary.
Joe, you've said you've done this a million times, basically. What typically have you had to bring in then?
It all depends on the site. It really all depends on the site, and it really depends on how much they get out of this foundation. The foundation is fairly large. Here, it is a walkout on one side, but there's a lot of excavation on the uphill side. So, you could easily get a few hundred yards of material out of just excavating for footings and foundation for this house. If you need another 300 yards, another 20 triaxles or so, that would have to come, be imported to the site. But every site is different. I'm just saying that we've done this a lot, including in this town successfully. We never had to come up with a fill-up calculation for a single family house. So I know that regulations haven't changed because you're working on the new ones.
When you're saying you do it multiple times, that was specific to saying that you don't bring fill calculations.
Right. We've done it a lot of times and we don't.
Yeah, it's the minimum amount necessary to facilitate the construction
For
based on the
example, I
approved
had a
permit.
project that was just a culvert crossing and there was no house associated with it. So in order to have an avenue for zoning to review that, it hit the amount of fill requirement that you could bring in on a piece of property without a primary building being done. So that was required there and we had to go through special exception, but never for a single family house. So that's why I was just looking for clarification on that. It's not excessive. It's not like it drops off a cliff like this and we're bringing a million yards in to level it off. It's a fairly gentle graded piece of property and we just have to have enough to bring it up to grade. The driveway grade has to meet the garage grade in order to get in and then, to prevent excessive steps on the outside. 13 or 12.
That's
12.
12.
So if you'd like that number, we can estimate that number for you. I can't do it right here. Unfortunately, as a condition of the decision, we can get you that fill number. I don't know if it makes any.
Yeah, I don't really see the relevance. Is there any specific reason you're concerned about it, Mike?
Only that is specified under 41010 in the gateway regs.
What is that? How does that regulation read? If you don't mind.
Deposition of soil and earth materials will be prohibited except for one valid non-conforming uses in existence as of May 14th, 1974. 2, foundation trench and related site excavation performed after the issuance of a building permit and in conformance with all plans submitted in support thereof.
So that's more for a gravel operation because it says prior to 1974.
And that says after it says after a site plan or after approved. So it's that's indicating after.
If it's within the site plan.
So then if it's part of the site plan, it's a non-issue. Of course.
And where there's a hard limit is under addition in connection with landscaping and grading of land for a purpose for which a building permit is not required.
Okay, so there's the catch right there.
Yeah, so I think that falls under.
Yep, correct.
Under number 2. Again, just checking because we have to.
It's especially since it falls under gateway, it's totally applicable here. That just
and there's a list
of my education. I just wanted to know should we be doing that more often.
There's actually a list of findings we have to make in order to approve it.
Yeah, of course. So, I appreciate that. That's good.
Thank you.
Due diligence on your part.
Is there any other comments, commission members?
No.
Okay, why don't we open it up for the public? If anybody from the public has comments on 100 Mile Creek, now would be the time to come up and give us your comment. See anybody from the public here? Any further questions from the commission? Why don't we close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Come on, you gotta get a second in there. It's your chance.
Good, thank you.
All in favor of, closing the public hearing, say aye.
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 Any abstentions? Oops, I guess it's unanimous.
Do you want to vote on it now, Denise? Just like we did the last one?
Let's see, what else do we have? I think that's the end of the public hearing, and we just need to accept. So we should probably go into deliber, because I think that's the next thing on it anyway, is deliberation, right?
Mhm, yes.
Yep, so we'll go right into that then.
This is Mary Jo. Can we make it, or does it make sense to the commission that we indicate that the condition of approval is dependent on whether there are any requirements if they get a CAM letter returned to us?
I'm sorry, could you say that one more? A what letter?
Coastal area manager.
Oh,
if-
Cam.
Whatever conditions Deep wants would be incorporated, she's asking as a condition of approval.
I mean,
Yeah.
my personal
Thank
opinion,
you
Mary
for-
Jo, is they had the opportunity to comment, and if it was pressing, they probably would have submitted a comment. At least in my
I'm
experience with
not
them.
saying-
I'm not speaking for them.
Well, I don't know what the time requirements are for them to respond either. So does Eric, do you know?
It's 35 days. We're beyond the 35 days. And they're getting a lot of
Okay.
these. They don't respond to all of them. Again,
Okay.
all I can tell you is if we get something, I will pass it on to the applicant. I don't expect in this case there to be any issues because of the distance from the river and from the actual, the fact that this is not, that they're not really affecting any of the sensitive coastline materials at this point in time. So I would not
Okay.
expect to get anything back from Deep on this application.
Definitely won't.
Okay, I just think that's good for the minutes that it's beyond the 35 days. So thank you.
Okay, I am taking the updated site plan and marking it as an exhibit so that we'll have it for the record.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so this will now be part of the file. You can presumably make this a condition of your approval that he tracks the improvements that are noted on this, if that was something that you're interested in doing, in addition to any other conditions you might have. And again, you're free to approve or deny. You're the commission.
So, in the, Gateway Commission, we know that they're saying they're gonna have the correct windows and
Yeah, Gateway was happy with what they were proposing, so we can.
so, but do we need to put those in as conditions to make sure? I mean, is it on here?
Those are recommendations.
Well, no, I mean, it's all, Gateway said that they were already in the plans. However, if you want to make a condition of approval that they incorporate all the suggestions made by Gateway, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah,
as well.
I think I'd like to make sure that those are in.
Yeah, that'll all be shown in the window schedules.
Yeah,
So,
I'm not sure we have that yet, right?
no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So let's make sure they're agreeable to it, but I want to make sure that it's.
Yeah, again, you can say, and I'll give you the date of their letter here, that all conditions mentioned in the Gateway letter of January 28th be incorporated into the approval.
So that includes for those who haven't looked at it, it's the no new or expanded permanent structures within the 50-foot riparian buffer or the 100-foot structural setback. Preserving trees and replacing trees that are removed or dead, using non-reflective glass in windows and doors, minimizing impervious surface and planting and encouraging the growth of native riparian vegetation along the waterway to improve the ecological health of the Connecticut River. So that's what they're looking at. But I also want to make sure that we talk about, because I'm looking, oh, I guess it's up to you. It says that okay, so the things they put in here, muted colors, that's what I was looking for. Colors of the structure will be the muted colors used for the roof. Exterior lighting will be downward facing, dark sky compliant, and limited to the need for safety and security. So those are what we're looking at. in terms of the, making sure that that's in the conditions.
Were we also going to ask a condition of approval to be the estimate of fill to be brought in?
I think we got by
I
that.
think we got past that because it's part of a building permit. So that's only applies for if you don't have a building permit. Michael's concerns were addressed. I don't know if you have any further concerns, Mary Jo.
I wasn't sure I heard that. Michael, is that how you understood that?
That is how I understood it, Mary Jo.
He's kind of far, so could you hear him?
Should it? Yes, Mary Jo, that's how I understood it.
I could hear him. Thank you. Okay, good.
All right.
Eric,
So we're gonna-
Eric, can I just ask that you put that as sort of a discussion point for the condition for phase 2?
Okay, what kind of discussion point would you like to
Well,
have
it
that?
sounds from, it sounds like there's some discrepancy or maybe some clarity that's needed in that regulation. So I'd like to.
This is a
spend some
gateway
time
reg.
discussing that.
I
Yeah,
mean, this is pretty much given to us verbatim by Gateway and we've adopted it. So if we were to change it, we would probably have to go back to Gateway and have Gateway change their reg and then you do it that way. I'm not sure we want to make unilateral changes to a Gateway regulation.
Mary Jo,
Well, I
I
don't
think
think-
it was just,
whoa, wait a minute, Michael, please. Eric, I'd
Yep.
just like to address what you just said. I'm not
Yep.
trying to make a unilateral decision. I'm asking it to be kind of ballpark for us to discuss. Because if it's unclear to us, maybe it's unclear to them. So
Okay.
maybe we could put that in a discussion point with Gateway, because we're going to be meeting to discuss with these commissions how we move forward in phase 2. And, it caused some consternation between the developer and us here. And so I think it's worthy of a discussion.
Okay, I have marked it down as a phase 2 issue, okay?
Thank you.
It's in my notes right here.
Thank you, sir.
Not a problem. You can't see it, you're not here, but I've written it right down here on my pad here, what consideration, what phase 2, okay?
Yep, thank you.
Do we have a letter from Ledge Light yet?
Do you have your legislative approval on this?
Yes,
Yes.
100.
It's in there.
Okay,
I
I'm
didn't-
sorry.
I didn't see it in here, but maybe it's.
Let me pull it out and see what we got. Not seeing it in my exhibits.
Yeah, I didn't see it in the exhibits that I was looking at. But it might not have just gotten attached.
They can't proceed without Gateway approval in any event, but let me see what I
Legislative.
get legislative approval in any event. Let me see what I can track down on that.
I just wanted to know if there was any conditions we might want to put on or something.
Again, Dix, I am not
From
seeing,
a zoning standpoint, I don't see where it's feasible.
if you want to make a condition of approval, any further comments made by Gateway, we can certainly include that.
Legislative.
I'm sorry, legislate, I'm tired tonight. Legislate approval, you can certainly include that as a condition of approval, that any conditions required by legislate be incorporated into their plans.
Sam.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I just think without us seeing that,
But they can't build without it anyway.
they can't build without it, but it also, you just want to make sure how it works in with the stormwater and the other stuff. So I thought I was just looking at it. Or looking for it, but I didn't see it.
Well, I think we have to make that a condition. Thank you, Denise.
Any further discussion? And we need to then have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions of the reflective glass, as you noted. I think you wrote them down, so I'll let you articulate your conditions.
Yeah.
Or do you just want to reference the letter of January 28th from?
That's the easiest way.
Yeah, reference.
So I'll make that motion to approve with the conditions based on the letter from Gateway Commission
Mhm.
from date.
The date on that is
January
January 28th, 2026. And you also, Mary Jo, wanted to include any conditions required by Ledgelight Health District?
Yep,
That's
that one as
correct.
well. And that's it for me.
And I think, that it's, the plans as amended by.
Correct.
Yeah, you're referencing again, the site plan, as amended by Exhibit 1 submitted this evening by Joe Rett.
Do I have a second?
Second, Mary Jo.
You got-
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Congratulations, Mr. Todd. Oh. Thank you for your feedback. I'm sorry. That's the way it being presented.
Okay, let's see, what's next on our agenda?
The next two items should probably be handled together as 26-4, 26-5 or by the same applicant and largely involve the same property, though again, the regulation change would apply to the entire district.
Okay. So that's Bloom Behavior Consulting Services. Is someone here from them or do? Yeah.
I mean, tonight you're just receiving it and setting up a public hearing. So if you just want to get a brief introduction, we'll set up a public hearing presumably for next month.
Right.
ECS. So we were proposing to add additional verbiage to some of the zoning code to allow us to occupy space on Short Road for both our private school as well as our outpatient clinic for children with autism and related disabilities. So we also submitted the special permit application as well to go hand in hand with that, should that verbiage be approved.
Thank you.
Great.
All right.
Anybody have any questions?
Question in this one?
I mean, the public hearing's not till next month, but if you want to just raise something as a preliminary matter, so she's on notice for next month to come back with sort of answers, that would be.
As I'm just reading through the application and the suggested verbiage. The question is, do you take your students, your clients directly from families or by referral from school districts or both?
So, right, both. So families, on the outpatient side are funded through insurance or private pay. And so they're in an order that they called on our waiting list. That's how they're served.
Mhm.
Clients on the school side are seen as districts refer them, and then we observe them. They come see us to see if it's a good fit.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, so the public hearing, presuming you want to have it next month, would be March 9th at 6:30.
Are we good? We've got a lot on March 9th.
Well, that's up to you. You have the continued regulations public hearing.
Mhm.
You have the 77-177-2 Lime Street application.
I guess everything else we took care of. So
Everything else you took care of. And again, I haven't heard a lot from the audience, at least either to the time on the phase 1 regulation revision. So I'm not sure that's going to take
Yeah,
a
it'll
lot
probably
of
go
time
quickly.
next month. And again, I haven't heard a lot coming in on the Lime Street ones either, so that's up to you how you want to handle that, but you know,
And 16 McCurdy Road is also gonna be on March 9th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did we set that already?
there's a CAM application and we haven't heard back, we just got it in. So yes, that is also going to be for next month, but that came in
Well, I should
after.
say, I said the wrong thing. I didn't mean the McCurdy. I meant the 77-1 and 77-2 Lime Street.
Yes, that you previously scheduled that for next month. The McCurdy is a site plan application. Theoretically, it could be acted on tonight, but again, because it just came in and it's not, we just sent it out to Deep. We have not heard back on it. I expect that there will be some public interest since we had that big issue regarding the people on Library Lane. So you may want to just hold off on that one as well.
Okay, so let's see, we've got the regs,
Which we could probably go quick, right?
should go quick, and then we've got the,
The Lime Street Apartments,
then the apartments, and then the.
Which we already approved.
no,
Or no, that was in wetlands. Okay.
you have two different things. You have Lime Academy,
Oh, it could be 4.
there's Lime Academy, and then there's Lime Street Apartments. So
Yep,
it's
correct. Yes. I'm confusing it with when they had the inland wetlands application.
Yes. Okay.
1, 4.
Because you're under some sort of timeline with the lease, right?
Yeah, kind of at the back here, but, yeah,
I remember that was an issue.
yeah, we need to be out of our current space by May. And students need to be able to come in by July latest.
Yeah.
Do we, I'm just throwing a suggestion out. Would you guys consider that we put it on the agenda? And then if we got to push it late that day or, I mean, we used to go till 10 o'clock, but I know we nine.
Yeah, we can put that, I was looking at, because we also have to schedule McCurdy, right? So.
But with McCurdy, we can push out.
Well, again, McCurdy,
It's just a site plan
it's a
approval.
site plan approval. So
Got
you have 65 days to act on it, or it's automatically approved, it's a site plan. So yes, at this point, you should be able to deal with McCurdy next month. I don't know what kind of crowd reaction you're going to get on that.
If we don't do it, can we go to April on McCurdy?
Yeah, because it's 65 days.
That's what I'm
It
saying.
started today,
Started today, okay.
so you have 65 days to deal with it. That would take you through April.
Okay.
So here's
So
the thought too.
So if we could have to, we could go out, but let's see. Because I'm looking at, we're gonna have 5 things.
Well, should we put the
So how do
school
you feel
then
about
at the top?
Taking
Yeah.
the zoning reg phase 1 out to what would hopefully be a relatively short special meeting. And then we could also talk about the transition to phase 2 and sort of set a course for that.
The only challenge, of course, is the 2 people you would want to have available for that special meeting are not here to give dates that they would be available at. And we would need to announce at this meeting when you would be holding the special meeting at, which makes it hard.
Can we do one more continuation or on that?
Because it's a town
do
application,
it.
you
You
can
can just
why
have
don't we just
yourself
do
an
that?
extension. and
Yeah,
we'll say, no,
exactly.
it's our fault.
as a commission sponsored application, the usual time limits under the statute
Yep.
do not apply.
Makes sense.
This apply, you can have it continued
For months.
for months and months, it doesn't matter. I'm not
I'm not
gonna
suggesting you do
recommend that, but
There's no reason
But the more
why
longer
we
we
have to.
push it out, just thinking holistically, the more we push it out, the more we kind of stall
Well, that's what I was
the
about to say. I
beginning
don't
of
think we do because
phase 2.
there's nothing that keeps us. So if we got a few odds and ends to clean up with phase 1 before we just say, okay, go to press with it. It's done. There's nothing that stops us from talking about what's going to happen in phase 2, acknowledging that phase 1 is at 99% and we just have some cleaning up to do.
Right.
So that's why I was thinking that if we have a special meeting and even if we need to stretch the timeline slightly, and I'm not suggesting it goes.
again, my only challenge with a special meeting, Michael, is
You can't set it.
we can't set it tonight because the people you would need available to be there are not here to tell you what dates they would be available. So I think you need to move it to your next meeting.
Put it last and we can
Well,
continue to.
whatever. I mean, we'll see who we have in the audience. We haven't had
We
really,
can always change that too.
Yeah.
you could always change that.
I mean, right now, we continued it to the next meeting, so that's already done.
That's already done, yes.
So it's a matter of if we wanted to change that.
Yeah, even at the next meeting, you can open it and still continue it. I understand what you're saying. You don't want to keep pushing the can down the road, which is going to push out phase 2.
I wasn't suggesting.
No,
It was.
but in
Which all brings us back to this special, these 2 applications. Are you thinking now you want to schedule them for your March meeting and we'll sort of arrange a schedule accordingly here to make sure that it happens?
Yes.
Yeah, I would suggest that we put
100%.
this place on the agenda for next month.
Okay. Well, I need a
Are we allowed
motion.
to take comments from the public? I don't see why not, right?
This is not a public.
No, I understand. This gentleman has a comment here.
I'm here for the cemetery association.
Yeah.
And, do I understand that you're putting it off until March?
We just got the application in the last few days. We don't have a regular commission member here, and it has to theoretically be commented on by Deep. So we're not going to be acting on it this evening at this point at all.
That said, because if, just like we heard from, yeah, Courtney, just like we heard from Courtney, if you would like to address, I didn't think there was anybody, I'm sorry, it's like, that's my fault. I didn't think there was anybody here from McCurdy. So, we set the public hearing for Loom for, well, let's make a motion to set that.
Make that motion.
Second,
A second.
okay. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, so with the public hearing is set for Loom.
Okay.
And then let's hear McCurdy in terms of just give us a quick overview, what you want to say, and but we are not going to take action on it tonight.
I think the application speaks for itself. We need to replace the bridge over the Duck River.
Mhm.
It's close to 100 years old, and we don't know what the load carrying capacity of it is. So we undertook it as our project,
Mhm.
and we are looking forward to a successful completion.
Can I just get your name for the record? Just
Oh, Ed Penn, I'm the president of the Cemetery Association, 254 Whippoorwill.
Okay, so we are at this point, since we just got the application and it's on our agenda, so we can set a public hearing for it. or we don't even have.
No, there's no public, it's just site plan.
It's a site plan approval. No public hearing
We
required.
don't have to have a public hearing. So, but we do usually wait to hear from DEEP on this. And so we will keep that open. Do you have a time frame when what you're looking for, when you want to try to get this moved along?
Well, our construction plan is not to begin until the summer of 27.
Okay,
And DEEP has given us restrictions on time we can work in the water because of fish and other considerations. So we have the window of June, July, August, and September of 27
okay,
to get it done.
all right.
This is just another item on a list to check off.
Yeah. So in terms of us just acting on the application, we'd like to wait until we hear from DEP, and I think we really haven't totally reviewed it. I think it's going to be fairly simple and straightforward. I think it would be good for us to hear from DEP on this.
Have you reached out for that to them?
It's
Yeah.
already been sent out. They have 35 days to respond. Particularly in light of the fact that you're telling us they've already given you restrictions on when you can construct, it's likely that those restrictions are going to be reflected in the comments they give back to the commission so they can be incorporated into the site plan approval.
Oh, our engineer has all that correspondence.
Well, I will make sure we get it from him. Okay?
Yeah, that would be great to have that. So then, so we're looking, so the discussion we were having is we have now a handful of things on our agenda for March 9th. And could we wait to make that decision till April? It doesn't sound like that would hold you up. That said, we don't know what else is coming in, so we could tentatively put it to March. Well, it's not a public hearing, so it doesn't matter what agenda it's in.
No, I would let it hang on the agenda. If you get to it next month, you get to it next month. If not, you let it hang to the following.
What we'll do is we'll put it on the agenda. That said, I don't want to have somebody have to come and sit for the whole time and then say, oh, we're not going to hear it till April. So,
Mr. Penn, is there anything that is like pressing that you need to have it approved in the next month?
I have to say no, other than, we want to check things off.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's understandable.
We don't want to get down to the wire.
Yeah, but you got, okay, gotcha.
I'm thinking, why don't we, to make it easy for everybody, why don't we put this on April? Then we'll make sure we hear from DEP. Because they have 35 days and February's a short month, so.
Does it matter? I won't be able to be here.
No,
Doesn't matter.
Not at
That I
all.
won't be able to be.
In April?
Correct.
Oh, well, so then, well, then let's try, we'll try to do it in March then. I mean, like I said, we don't have to vote on this particular item.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here
Thanks, Mr. Perry.
tonight.
So unless I missed something, we're at approval of minutes. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So
Then if
moved.
do I have a second?
We need a second.
I'll second.
Thanks. Are there any changes or additions or amendments to the minutes? Does anybody have any comments on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed
I'm abstaining because I wasn't at the meeting.
and one abstention.
You were missed. Really were.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Yes. This is Mary Jo. I'd like to discuss, unless you discussed it before I was added in which case maybe fill me in. There was a virtual forum that was arranged, and some of us didn't know anything about this till we got this email, and then apparently it was canceled. I would like to know what the heck happened with this, how it was decided. I really am confused by this, and I really think it hurts in our effort to be more transparent going forward.
I would agree.
When this sort of thing happens. So I really want to hear from Eric. I know Paul isn't here. Eric, please, can you detail what the heck happened with this? And can we please have a discussion in the future with any regulation rewrite that the commission is on board either at a regular meeting or a special meeting on the process?
Okay. I will sort of to go back to the beginning. This, as part of the original contract with FHI, they had indicated that they would be willing to put together a public forum with essentially the author of the regulations to address questions from the public. We reached that point in the process. Mr. Gomes on a phone call with me and Paul said, we would be happy to do this if you're interested. We didn't obviously understand the level of sort of aggravation this was going to cause, but by saying go ahead and do this, had we understood that, we would never have allowed it to go forward. The challenge was this. I couldn't have it as part of a public hearing because we had previously set the public hearing. Mr. Gomes indicated that this was just going to be an opportunity for him to just take whatever questions the public had, but I couldn't then have you sit in on it outside of the public hearing because that would have ex-parte communications coming in. So in light of the fact that this was something that was causing a lot of the commission members to be very upset about the process, and it was introducing another way for people to share information that the commission was not going to be necessarily privy to, we decided that it was ill-considered and we canceled it.
Who's we?
Well, Paul heard from a lot of you that this was something that was you were unhappy about. I received a phone call last Saturday, not this past one, the previous one, from Paul saying this is not going to work. And then last Monday morning, when I got in at 8 o'clock, I immediately called Francisco Gomes and said, do not go forward with this process.
So I just, I thank you for taking the time to explain all that. I think it's being portrayed in a little unfair characterization. I think the concerns that, and I didn't express this to anybody, but I have these concerns that we've had very open, ongoing dialogue for almost a year now about this entire process. And the commission has decided every like website update and communications and special meetings and everything. And so I think for me, some of the concern was that there was a lack of communication, that this was even in discussion. And you're right, I do remember reading in the contract that there were going to be these listening sessions. But when we talked about those very specific listening sessions previously, it was with the understanding that it would be a kind of public open house event, you know? And so the fact that it was one organized without prior discussion, but then also like cryptically being told that commission members can't participate, which would also seem to defy the purpose of having a listening session so that the very people working on the rewrite can hear what people have to say about it. And so I respect that it could have been handled better. I think that's, you know, Mary Jo's right. Listen, there are transparency issues that we have got to be incredibly sensitive to. So the fact that it was brought down, that's fine, you know, that it happened that way. I think what concerned me was that that was also followed up with and will not be rescheduled.
Yes, correct.
So now the message going out to the public is all the public knows, they don't know all this back and forth. All the public knows is we're going to have a listening session. The commission wasn't going to be at it. And then, no, actually, we're not having a listening session and it's not going to be rescheduled. I mean, that's a lot of confusing messaging to be putting out around this already politically charged issue. So I would like to propose that, at a special meeting, when we're able to get it scheduled, when Paul and Jane are available to present their dates to everybody, whenever that is, as soon as that meeting is set, that we have some kind of public message that accompanies it, that is just, saying this is happening. I think we just have to own it and get out in front of, there was some miscommunication about the previous one. The intention is still to have public discussions about it. And we, at this special meeting, will be discussing what our plan is going forward.
Okay. I think we have sort of two different issues.
Okay.
I totally accept and agree that the way that the meeting was scheduled was bad, and it set a poor precedent for the transparency we're trying to show.
Mm-hmm.
I own that. That's on me. Okay.
Yeah.
I think, though, that what Gomes was trying to do was explain phase one.
Yeah.
If we want to have a session where we expound on what we think phase two is going to be, I think that's a worthwhile goal, but I don't think, given where we are in the phase one process, that trying to go back and explain phase one is.
That's why I said, let's move on. There has to be some kind of explanation for what happened. And I don't know, maybe Gomes gives a end of phase one summary of, report or something. I mean, instead of, since we've missed the opportunity to have a public discussion about it.
And again, we have his summary, which you sort of incorporated in this file of what each phase did. You already have that memo that from him that we can, it's on the webpage, we can more widely make available to people.
Great.
So that I'm not sure we can do much more on the explanation side than he's already done on there.
Okay.
Again, we can try and make that more widely available. It was my hope, though again, schedules are being adjusted because we're leaving the public hearing open, it was my hope that in March, we would try and schedule a shred, a gathering, or whatever you want to call it, with the other commissions in town to try and sort of start the process of phase two and sort of getting their input. I was thinking it was going to be on like a Saturday or something. We would have coffee and donuts here. We would have everybody in, and we would spend a couple hours just sort of bringing the other commissions in town into the process then. That was the idea in my head. I'm expressing it here in the open to you folks. If that is something you still think is worth doing.
I think that's worth, yeah, I mean, I think that's something that's worth discussing. I mean, I think that just having one morning with coffee and donuts for all the commissions is going to be insufficient based on what we're already receiving from some and based on work we know that's happening in some of the other.
Absolutely. I mean,
so
the hope is that, again, this was just sort of a kickoff in March.
Yeah.
It's going to continue in my mind. And again, this is all sort of my estimation of timelines based on what we already have on the website, that we're going to have a series of events going forward, essentially all through the summer, so that we can continue to sort of gather information in.
I think that's a great idea. My point is, let's pre-plan them all. Let's identify all of them.
Yes.
The technical term for what you're describing is a communication plan.
Exactly.
You identify your stakeholders, your
who's going to be
messages, your
right,
medium, and
who's going to be on
their
what
calendar.
day,
At
and
least a relative calendar. What's the sequence
Absolutely.
of that?
I agree with all of that.
So to bring it back, I think that we need to wrap up phase one, and whether we do it on March 9th or we set a special date. But if we set a special date to do that, I wouldn't want to have it as a kickoff, but I think it could be a work session for us to do the
a
calendar.
working session,
do-
exactly.
To do the
Yes.
calendar.
Yes.
So we could,
Yes.
at that date, say like, okay, we're
That's what I
going
had in
to
mind.
Yep.
vote on phase one, finish off phase one, and get the working calendar that then we,
Yep.
and the communication
Yeah,
plan
it's a work
that we
plan.
can,
Yeah.
put out, because I do think we need to be very confident about this. And I do want to say, just in terms of process, that I think once we are ready for the next phase to go out to public hearing, once we have taken everybody's input, and there's going to be, this is going to be a year and a half or so, getting everybody's input, doing everything, changing the regs. Once we have a draft that's going out, we have a public information session that kicks that off.
Yeah.
The much like when I go to a hearing for DEEP or other state agency, they don't just come in and say like, oh, did you read them online? Which everybody comes prepared because
Right.
we have read them, but they do a kickoff and they start the meeting with a half-hour presentation of this is what's out, this is what we did. And that's what I think we missed that. And so I
Yes.
appreciate that you are trying to put that in, but I think, all of a sudden doing that in the middle of when we had a public hearing process already open, we could have just said, you know what, we'll do a presentation at this meeting.
Yeah.
We could have still done it as part of the public hearing. And I think that was what we need to do. So
Okay.
I'm happy to, touch base with Paul about this and say like, okay, this is what we need to do. There's the potential we could still, depending on people's schedules are, it might be that we still do phase one on March 9th. I'm just saying schedule wise. That said, I still think it would be good for us to have a working
Yes.
meeting to set down the schedule.
Yeah.
So that we all know what the schedule is. There's no miscommunications. And we can have it so that when we're having the kickoff meetings, we can actually, we've got this great letter. Thank you very much, Mary, for doing all this hard work that explains this, but nobody had it. And I will tell you that the people who had come to me and said they were going to attend on Saturday were coming for phase two, not to hear an explanation of phase one.
Yeah.
So that was communicated to me, including from folks like at the Gateway Commission. So it's one of those things where there was a real miscommunication about what that meeting was going to do. And just like the gentleman from the Historic District Commission was here tonight, it wasn't clear to them. So I think that, I know the memo went out. What I'm concerned about at this point is that it probably went to chairman and that didn't necessarily
Yeah.
maybe go out to everybody. So I think we need to make sure that we're getting out to, really ask them to share with everybody. We'll see if there's a list that maybe Katie or somebody has in the first selectman's office, that we have all the commissioners' emails and can send it out. Not everybody gets it. But also the public as well, so that everybody has this, because this is so good, and I don't think anybody had that. 'Cause
No.
otherwise, people wouldn't have thought that was gonna be phase 2.
Just out of curiosity, so and I like what you said, because I saw it on Limelight, like, okay, wow, this is going to be
Yeah.
great. Canceled, not going to be rescheduled. I'm like, man, that looks bad.
Yeah.
It looks very bad. The optics on that, personally, right? So I guess what I'm just trying to clarify is, how did that come to be canceled? You said of the commission members, was it just Paul, or is
No,
is there other people
okay.
I'm not aware of?
Well, I'll tell you, I was one of the folks that reached out to Paul and
Denise did as well. Okay,
and
so
my concern was that we had an open public hearing
Yeah.
for phase 1,
Okay.
open.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we're
Yeah.
gonna have an information session where
Yep.
people are gonna be offering information and possibly
Correct.
what they think would be testimony for that.
Oh, but
And it would
outside of.
So I didn't even take that into consideration. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you bringing that up.
That was my concern, is that we
Not
had a
in the
public
record.
hearing.
But people would think it was.
And the
gonna be
second thing
record.
was that
And if it was
in
gonna
order
be
to
about
pull-
phase 2, then we should be listening.
Yes.
in order to pull that off, it was a tightrope. Commissioners had to be uninvited from it so that we didn't run the risk of actually
Have a
forming
meeting. Understood now.
a
Okay.
public meeting.
When I read it
So it was a
online, I was like,
minefield
what?
to begin
Why they
with.
cancel
And
it?
so I think the
I appreciate
takeaway
you
from
bringing that insight.
It was well intentioned, but I think it was ill advised to try and pull it off while there was an open public hearing.
Yeah.
Because it actually ran counter.
Thank you for
So I
making me
just think
understand that.
For future reference,
And just
we
the
need to be
fact
aware
that,
of
again,
the whole process, not just the communications.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's, Mary, Joe, go ahead, Mary.
I think Michael explained exactly my concerns that I emailed Eric, is like, how are we supposed to address comments from the public at a meeting we can't attend, so I think Eric owned it. Thank you, Eric. I think that what we've learned from this process is that the whole communication process has to include the whole entire commission, and it has to be a public, in public meeting or in some kind of public document that the committee voted on this and or responded to this or is in agreement with this. And I suggest we bring your contract to this planning meeting so that if there are meetings that Francisco Gomes has agreed to do, that we put that into our timelines. Because I personally believe Mr. Gomes is excellent. Although he's only met with us in public once, I think he is very well suited to a public meeting. And I think the public will feel that he's competent, he's an expert, and he has been guiding us really well. And I think that is an opportunity we lost with phase 1, but we definitely can put that into phase 2, but we have to plan it. And maybe we need, I think Mary Gardner said this, maybe we need more than one meeting because there's quite a big chunk of change we're dealing with. But bring the contract to that meeting so we make sure we fulfill all the obligations, please.
Okay. Two very brief things. One of which is, by contract, Gomes is scheduled to participate at 2 public sessions, 2 informational sessions in phase 2. So we have that out there to include somewhere along here at whatever point we need him to do that, we can work with him on when those times are. So that's one. Okay. 2, because he wanted to get it rolling on phase 2, he has already started redrafting our flood zone regulations because they are out of date with the deep proposed model regulations on that. I have received them in. Since we're still in phase 1, I haven't kicked them over to you folks yet. I have given them to Jeff Jacobson, our town engineer, who is sharing them with Denise Ifkovich at the state level. Again, not to sort of get too far ahead into phase 2, but it just seemed like something we could start getting him working on that was fairly discreet, because there is a model DEP reg on this, and he is trying to make our reg look like that. It is something we can incorporate into phase 2 whenever the appropriate time to do that is. But he had some spare time. He asked if he could work on this. I thought that was an appropriate thing for him to start working on.
Is he working with the flood and erosion board? Because they have been putting a lot of time and effort into coming
That's
up with.
different than the flood rates.
I understand. but
No, it's not. They have been putting together a lot of time into coming up with recommendations for the zoning rewrite
Yeah,
specific to flooding.
and again, I have been in touch with David regarding this, and I have offered to share with him these draft model regs.
Okay, that's all. I just want to make sure that you were, like, I just want to make sure we're not having all these silos of
No,
excellence.
I've been
happening.
literally today trading emails with Damon on this very subject, okay? So yes, I am aware that flood and erosion control is working on this. And they now are aware that we have this model that we're working from, and I've offered to share it with them so that they can work on it as well.
That said, there's a whole lot of different planning documents and
Yes.
things going on in town. There's a resiliency plan that's being worked on. So there's a whole lot of people we need to, so I want to stop the conversation now because we have some important people who aren't here from our commission. But that said, let's have a workshop and bring
Yeah.
all of these to that. So
That document there, is that something
this
that,
is online.
okay, is that something that maybe our partners in the news organizations like Limeline could post on their website? Because that's a good vessel for information distribution.
They should have it, but if they haven't been gotten a copy of it, that would be, we should get that out.
We will make sure that they have further.
I mean, when we get a question on the process, this should be the number one document that you give to people.
Yes,
And I know that, for example, there's like a nice graphic on the town website about the process, but it says phase one. It never says where it never uses the term phase two starts.
okay.
So we need
Well,
to,
we can certainly play with the graphic. I mean,
yeah, so look at the graphic and just make sure, because I think people, so because we have this nice thing, but then the graphic kind of didn't follow this completely.
I mean, the challenge for Craig in putting together the graphic is we have very limited graphical skills that we can upload onto our webpage
I
there.
understand. I know exactly which tool he used to create that.
Okay. So yeah,
But we just need to make sure that we're really looking at, like I said, we took a lot of time on this.
no,
I know
I absolutely agree.
you and Mary in particular spent a lot of time on it. And
And
I,
I'm very sensitive to the issue of
so let's,
public.
So the March 9th agenda needs to include setting a workshop date. Is that what,
no, we're gonna try to set that ahead of time. We don't.
can we?
Okay. You can't have the public hearing any earlier than March 9th because
Correct.
you announced it tonight.
Correct.
If you want to set a special meeting for a workshop, that can be done in advance of March 9th.
Okay.
So I'll be,
So we can set a calendar.
So
and-
what's the best way to get that?
okay, because it is simply a matter of scheduling a meeting.
Yes.
Special meeting, I can do that through email through each of you without triggering
Okay.
FOIA issues.
All right.
Okay, let me see, because again, Jane is sort of incommunicado
Yeah.
totally. She's in China.
Right.
Paul, I talked to him this morning, even though he's, not in the state. Once I can reach Jane and we have some dates from Jane, I will try and reach out to the rest of you and figure out what the dates are. I may do this by doodle poll or something else just to say
Yeah.
what dates work. And then once we have a date for this, we will try and schedule that meeting, okay?
I think that's a great idea. The other thing, just kind of throwing this out there. I know that on February 25th, there's like a welcome, orientation for all boards and
Yeah, that's
commissions
being put on by the first select.
by the first selectman. And so I don't know if that's an opportunity to just, because there'll be all the members, not just chairs,
Mhm.
or as many as possible, if it would be worth asking the first select woman to, mention in her remarks or something, the fact that this is going on and this is going to be a big responsibility of theirs in the next year, year
just
and a half.
and distribute the memo.
And distribute the memo. That's,
And then,
yeah.
And then we know where.
But
the
if that
next-
could be part of her,
Okay,
if you guys agree, I don't know.
I think it's a perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Okay.
okay. I will talk to Martha about it when I have the opportunity to do so. I will, I'm not gonna be here tomorrow, but I will make sure that we raise it this week with her.
February
Come on,
25th.
Eric, you should
We're
be
good.
coming in tomorrow to do that for us.
No, tomorrow's, I have other things going on.
I'm sure you did.
So, yeah, and that's why I want to just wrap this up. So
Okay.
we'll, look at what we need to do and how to set that agenda. I think the most important thing is to have the bigger discussion on what we need to do
Yeah.
from a real calendar perspective.
Yep.
So that people just like, this is what we need to do. This is phase 2.
Yep.
And again, I'm just thinking out loud, if we have the public hearing set for March 9th on phase 1, again, having a workshop while there's an open public hearing, we just have to think through what that means.
No, yeah, well, I'm thinking at this point, it's going to be after.
It's going to have to
It's
be.
gonna
accurate.
have to be after that.
Yeah.
Well, let's just the practicality of, I don't think Jane comes back
I
until
doubt it.
the end of
I doubt it.
February.
So just in case there was any notion that we
yeah.
could slip one in before
Yeah, no,
March
no,
9th, I
no,
don't think we
no.
should.
Okay.
While there's an open public hearing. We have a process for this. Let's stay in our lane.
I mean, because Eric, you're saying we can't change that date. We've set it here. So you're saying we can't change the date.
If you announced at this meeting that this is continued until March 9th, you can't then change that to a shorter date because you announced in public session, it will be that date. So you create procedural issues if you then alter what you publicly announced at the public hearing.
It's a short month.
Is there a reason we aren't using the call-in yet?
It has not been the policy of the commission to do that. It will become town-wide policy in a few months, and we will be doing the call in.
People were asking me tonight, like, we can't make it, but they wanted to audio in and listen.
And we are not doing that yet, but it will be something that we will be doing probably by May, because it will become the town policy that all commission meetings will be available for call in by that date. Okay.
Oh, good. That's exciting.
Bravo.
So.
You mean not just Zoom in, call in, or Zoom in?
Well, you'll be able to call in through, like Mary Jo is doing tonight, rather, you can call in to participation. So that is coming as a town policy within the next few months. Okay.
That's great.
You got a CEO report?
Is there anything else for the good of the order? Take a motion to adjourn.
No, did you have anything to say?
I have nothing further to add at this point in time.
Trying to get him, he needs to get home.
That's fine. I understand. Thank you for all your work, Eric.
Motion.
Go ahead.
Motion made to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate all your diligence.
Thank you, Denise, for chairing tonight. You did a great job. Good night.